Chris Taylor asks, if you genuinely thought that police were executing white people or conservatives or pilots, that'd be a bad day. Wouldn't you be shooting back too? Though you're probably ambitious enough to be targeting police chiefs or politicians, not beat cops. Who among us would condemn as evil a 1940s German who assassinated concentration camp guards, Gestapo officers, SS troops, etc. within Nazi Germany? So is the problem that these shooters are evil, or is the problem that these shooters believe in the inflammatory claims by the race baiters and are acting accordingly? Are they doing what you would consider brave and moral if those claims were really true, that the U.S. was no better than the Nazis, is conducting a slow-motion genocide and assassinations against black people, stole all its wealth from blacks, etc., and so on? That is a profoundly good question, Chris. The short answer is yes, I'd be firing back too. If I thought that I was being targeted for extermination, I would fight back. And this is the root of why this Black Lives Matter thing is so disturbing, and why Obama especially and the Democrats in general are so evil, is because they are telling a lie about this. They're telling a lie. And they know it's a lie. Maybe they don't know it's a lie at first. You know, you hear the story about Trayvon Martin and they say, oh, this is good for our narrative, let's run with this. And then over time the details come in and you get a little embarrassed. But you know, certainly the President of the United States and the head of the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, certainly they must know the basics, the round numbers of crime in America. And that means that they know how rare these police shootings, unjustified police shootings, are. And they also know that in the cases of the ones that do happen, it turns out there either was some explanation that we didn't see at first, or the policeman has gone to jail. He's been punished for this murder. They know this, but they're basically telling Americans that you're not safe as a black person to walk down the street. It's because some white person's going to come and assassinate you. It's absolutely not true. But listen, if you're from one of these neighborhoods and you hear the President of the United States say this, who would you believe? You've seen it. You've seen policemen being, rough with your people, and maybe rough with you, and probably you deserved it. But you don't have any particular love for law enforcement. And now the President of the United States says that these policemen who you hated anyway are in fact murdering you. It's moral cover for them to launch this race war that the president needs. He doesn't necessarily need everybody killing each other, but he certainly needs black Americans outraged and angry and ready to go to the polls to do something about it. And furthermore, to give more power and more, money to these 10%ers like Barack Obama and Sharpton and all the rest of these charlatans. So yes, I would fight them back. Now, as I said earlier, I would fight them back if I thought I was right. In other words, if you take the example of Nazi Germany with the SS, needless to say, I'd fight back because murdering Jews is wrong. Any questions about that? But what if I was a member, what if I was a hardworking, like one of millions, tens of millions of hardworking black men in this country, and I'd never committed a crime, and I'd gotten everything I'd gotten honestly, and I worked very, very hard for my family, and I go to church and everything, and I'm looked at funny, and I'm pulled over more often, and security guys follow me around the store, and I haven't stolen anything. That would be an outrage to me. It'd be really tough for me, but if it were me, I would go to what's causing this, which brings us back to the fundamental issue of this, is this disproportionate amount of crime. And when it's one thing that black Americans commit disproportionate amount of crimes. The thing that's just awful and shocking is how celebrated it is in the culture. We don't hold them responsible. We don't enforce law in the inner city. We basically bribe them. We say, here, we're going to give you $300. Don't riot this month, and if you don't, then we'll give you another $300 at the beginning of next month. Basically bribe them, and it's just, I don't know. It's just so, it seems so easy to fix. It's just so tangled. I would, if I was a person who was being, here's where I'm going maybe. If I was a person who was unjustly lumped in with other people that looked like me, and those people were in fact not innocent, but were in fact a problem, I would do a couple things. First of all, I would make my behavior exemplary, and secondly, I would do everything within my power to point out that this was the problem. we need to take responsibility for this. I mean, think about this, guys. It's really just a simple question. Let's just say that that most of these mass shootings were committed by Tea Party people. They keep wanting it to happen, but it never does. But let's just say that of the last 10 mass shootings, 8 of them were by Tea Party people. What would you do? Well, you'd do something, right? You would want to discredit them. You'd want to say that this is not us and all the other things. So there's an argument to be made there. And Islam is, you can make the case because it's true that most Muslims are victimized by this assumption that they're terrorists, but they're not doing anything about it. If a Muslim shot up a group of people, another terror attack, and the streets were filled with Muslims protesting this individual and saying that this is not Islam and that this is if they were out there in the streets protesting the murders, they wouldn't have this kind of problem. They have this kind of problem because they don't say anything. Same thing with Black America and crime. They don't admit the problem. And so naturally people assume, what else are you going to assume? You know, so much of this is what it was. So much of this is just self-inflicted. That's what's so frustrating about it. That's what's frustrating about it. It just seems so easy to untangle, not to fix it, just to untangle it. Just stop all these self-reinforcing behaviors. Now, it got my attention over here. As ATS 608 says, "Bye-bye, Bill, you fake conservative." I don't know if that's a joke or not. It might be. A lot of times people make snappy, sarcastic comments. But I'll tell you what, I'm quite sure I haven't said anything that is not in line with the fundamentals of conservatism. I'm not talking about coercion. I'm not talking about entitlements. I'm talking about solutions. And I'm talking about the root causes of solutions. And as a party, we don't do that very often. The Democrats go right to the root of the problem, and then they lie about it. But we just don't even talk about it. We don't even go there. That's what they want, because if we do go there, we'd win. Here's the last question.